Thanks for being here, Christina. We're really excited to hear from you.
Thank you so much for having me. I am super excited that we decided to do this virtual session as a repeat of our in-person workshop. I'm really excited to get to share this with a lot of the members.
Absolutely. Take it away.
All right, sounds good. Well, welcome everyone. And I just want to do a quick thank you to She Space for partnering with me on this. We're going to hop in and get started. So this workshop is all about finding your creative gold mine. The millions are in your micro niche. And if you've never heard of a micro niche before, that's okay. We're going to be talking about it this entire presentation and get you really clear on what a micro niche is and why it is so important to your business. So this is a little bit about what you'll discover today. I'm going to talk a little bit about my story to give you some context about branding and marketing and how a micro niche affects business in the real world. We're going to do a little bit of a mindset reset. Discovering your creative gold mine is going to be a big part of this. We also are going to talk a little bit about the everything problem. And I know that it's a bit of a mystery, but we'll talk about that in depth. And when dreams become reality. So how having a micro niche can really affect the success of your business and making those dreams that you have become a reality faster. We're also going to look at a case study. This is a real life client that I've worked with, and it is a fantastic example of how finding your micro niche and really digging into that can make such an impact in your business. And then we'll go into some Q&A. So this is a little bit about me. So my very first business, I started out as a wedding planner in New Orleans, and this was in about 2008. And I had come from a branding and design background, but I absolutely loved weddings and I loved the business. I was working for a fine papers business, and that led to me understanding how much I really loved the wedding industry and wanted to get into that. So I started this wedding planning business and I wore all the hats. I mean, I was offering every service under the sun. I was working endless hours, and I figured out pretty quickly that I was not only undervaluing myself, but I was feeling that way also. And I was also underpaid for what the quality of work that I was doing. And that is definitely part of the entrepreneurship journey. You figure those things out pretty quickly. And I no doubt some of you have felt that very same thing or are feeling that now. So after my second baby was born, I dove into building McLeod Caruso Creative. I really had this realization that I really wanted to build an online business. We had moved to a different city, to Houston from New Orleans, and I wanted a business that I could take anywhere, which really wasn't the case with my wedding planning business. So I really got back to my roots in branding, and I had, the grand plans. I was like, I'm going to, build my website, get everything up and running. And during that process, I really was learning some lessons of like, okay, building an online business is a different animal. And it's a lot harder. It was a lot harder than building my locally based wedding planning business. So I knew that if I was struggling this, that it had to be even harder for women who didn't have access to the marketing and branding knowledge that I had, not to mention women who were moms who had less time and less access to expert guidance. So that was kind of my light bulb moment for this business. I knew I had really unique insight into the challenges that creative women were facing, and I knew I could help them find a better, simpler path just by teaching them how to tap into their own unique brand brilliance. So before we get into the micro niche, I really want to start with something that is very close to my heart and has made a very profound impact in my business and the success of my business. And that is mindset. And so I love the saying, start as you intend to end. So you are what you think. And the truth is that you can't find gold if you're convinced it isn't there. So today is about opening your mind to that possibility, to really understanding what your thought patterns are and how do you really think about success, and looking at a simple shift in how you think about yourself in your business. So I want to do a little mindset shift exercise that I often use myself if I just need like a quick reset. And what this is asking yourself, what's one story that I'm telling myself that isn't serving me? So an example would be, I am not ready to, or I have to do X, Y, or Z to succeed. Chances are you're already doing so much that just doing more actions isn't necessarily the key to success. Now, I want you to reframe that into an empowering belief. An example would be like, I already have the skills I need to, or doing less with clarity leads to success. And these are just examples. So feel free to take a second, get out a notebook, write these questions out and kind of see what comes to mind, and just go with your gut instinct. There's no real right or wrong. Just this is just a process to kind of get those thoughts flowing. So it's important to realize that mindset isn't just a tool, it really is the foundation of every action we take. Because the actions we take a lot of times, almost all the time, are based on our emotions. What makes us feel sad, what makes us feel excited, what makes us feel happy. We really do base what we do on how we feel. So today we really want to operate from a belief in focus, simplicity, and ease. So the next part of this exercise is releasing the old and allowing the new. So you might recognize some of these old thought patterns that a lot of us have. So old, no pain, no gain. Plenty of people are experiencing suffering and pain and they still don't achieve their goals. So that old type of thinking really isn't serving us. Something else that's like an old way of thinking and an old mindset would be make it happen. When you look back at your own experience, has forcing things really ever been effective or rewarding or joyful for you? Yes, you might have eventually gotten to where you wanted, but what was the process like? What was the journey like? And again, these are pulled from common experience, but you probably have your own thought patterns that you can look at that you've experienced over time that you'll see like this type of mindset showing up. So another example of an old mindset would be you only deserve success if you work hard for it. And I think this one really resonates with a lot of people. My gosh, I mean, I know it does for me. Um, the belief that sets the expectation that nothing will be easy, and in turn often leads to experiences being harder than they need it to be because their belief that there's no way that it's going to be easy, it's going to be hard. So these are the mindsets that really affect how we feel on a daily basis. None of the three I just mentioned make us feel really good. So an example of how to replace these old mindset and thought patterns are in the new thought patterns. So something new instead of no pain, no gain would be suffering does not equal success. Suffering is not a prerequisite for success. You can absolutely succeed. It might be, yes, intense work or a lot of work or hard work, but it doesn't have to feel awful. It doesn't have to feel like suffering when you're doing it. So finding that joyful spot in your work and eliminating the suffering part of it and the mindset specifically will lead you into this new thought pattern. So another one, instead of make it happen, allow it to happen. A lot of times I think people find that something may be good or really fantastic happens in their career or their life and they're like, oh, it's luck. Like I was just really lucky that time. When in actuality, allowing feels a lot like luck. So sometimes if you just allow something to happen rather than trying to force it to happen, you'll find that you get that experience more often. So a new way to reset that mindset is to start thinking you are innately worthy of success instead of you only deserve success if it's hard. So you need like embodying who you want to become now, embodying that now instead of thinking that's the person I'll be someday or when I reach that milestone. really trying to bring in the feelings of success into your now is another great way to reset your mindset. So you can take a look at the answers that you've given here and reflect on them. It doesn't have to be now, you can do that later. And just kind of go back and revisit, what answers do I feel really resonate with me, and which of these new mindset techniques also resonate with me. So, talking a little bit more into mindset, a lot is changing in the world, and science is really catching up, I think, in the mindset arena. We're really starting to discover that mindset and positive or negative thinking is not just a woo woo or um, wishful thinking type of practice. Science is beginning to teach us that our brains and our thoughts really are having effects on what happens in our daily life. And this scientist, Dr. Tara Swart, who is a neuroscientist and expert in neuroplasticity, I'm a bit of a fangirl for her. She's written an amazing book called The Source about this, and it really has become a hobby for me to follow what's happening in the mindset and leading edge science in that arena, because I really feel like this really is the next um, kind of leading edge space in business as well. So if you're interested in her book, I highly recommend it. It's a fantastic read. Okay, so on to the juicy stuff, discovering your creative gold mine. So first, let's talk about a little bit about what is a micro niche. We've probably all heard the word niche or niche before, but micro niche, probably not. So a niche is a specialized segment of the market for a particular kind of product or service. I think we all kind of understand that. And this is a really clear graphic of how you can kind of narrow down your niche as well. So a micro niche is actually a subsegment of the market for a particular kind of product or service. And this is often defined as a single person or a customer avatar. And I'll talk a little bit more about what a customer avatar is in a bit. But this diagram here shows you that a niche comes together. You might have two different niches. So creative entrepreneurs who need business coaching, for example. And this, I'm using myself as an example here. And the niche where you're really focusing on mothers who need simplified business strategies. So either of those could be a fantastic niche. But what happens is when you bring them together, you give your brand the power to narrow down and define its messaging, so that when someone in that micro niche sees your messaging, it makes your competitors irrelevant, essentially. It shows them that this person really does understand who I am, what I need, and they're going to be the ones to solve my problems. So as you can see, my micro niche is women creative entrepreneurs who need simple strategies and streamlined solutions for their creative businesses, all while facing the challenges of motherhood. So building a business as a mom is a completely different experience than building a business as someone who doesn't have kids. And this is a specific audience who really needs very specialized, directed help. And in fact, that's why I'm here at She Space today, because I am serving my niche. I am serving my micro niche right now in this webinar. This is exactly the type of kind of thinking that leads you into making your business decisions. If you know exactly who you're serving, you know where to find them. Okay, so talking a little bit more about the micro niche, a lot of you might be thinking, gosh, but am I leaving money on the table? If I say I'm serving my micro niche, but what about all the other people who could use my services? But now I'm essentially telling them I'm not for them. So really, it feels very counterintuitive. But when you are trying to serve everyone, you're really serving no one. So you're really trying to break free from that everything trap. You, if you have kids, you know that you're a short order cook. You're always making 3 meals for dinner. Somebody wants a cheese stick for snack, but somebody else wants pretzels. You are constantly serving everybody, and you don't need to do that for your clients. So what happens when you're trying to serve everyone is you hustle. You often offer too much and end up with less traction and more exhaustion and clients who really aren't fully satisfied because you are doing so much work in so many different arenas. You're not able to really refine your processes and your messaging so that you're getting to reuse those instead of reinventing the wheel every time you're serving a client. So really you end up juggling across every area of your business, and that does have a trickle down effect that really creeps into all your services and products and even administrative tasks because you are stretched so thin trying to reach everyone. You also really are diluting your messaging and your authority. It's really impossible to talk about everything and still market with the marketing rule of 7, which is a really important rule. And actually, in this day and age, the rule has changed a little bit. So, generally speaking, the rule has always been that somebody needs to hear your messaging 7 times before they make a purchase. And in this day, when everyone is kind of like information overload, bombarded with social media, that is probably more like 12 now. Um, so if you're trying to reach everyone, that means you have a variety of messaging and you'd be sending out trying to reach the right audience with a bunch of different type of messaging and yet still have that one sector of the audience see the correct messaging for them 7 times, which you could see how that would be almost statistically impossible. Okay, so why does niching down work so well? So what it does is it automatically clarifies and jumpstarts your brand messaging. It gives you just very, very, very specific, clear messaging that you know if you're writing an email, if you're making a social caption, if you are working on SEO for your website, you automatically have a list right there of messaging that you can copy and paste instead of just sitting there trying to think, okay, what do I say this time? It also gives your branding and graphics a clear direction. So again, clarity is a major player in your micro niche. When you're creating graphics and your branding, you want that all to speak to the right person. You are not trying to appeal to everyone. It's almost, again, impossible for a brand to effectively target everyone. You're also creating a deeper customer connection. So when you have branding or messaging that really connects to that audience, they feel something when they hear that. When you're speaking to a group of moms and you start talking about them having to be a short order cook for their kids, they know and instantly, and I know those of you that have kids will know instantly and kind of have that reaction of like, oh my gosh, I do. I know about that. Yes, I totally relate. And that's the deal, is that you're creating that deeper connection with your audience because you know exactly what they're experiencing and how they're feeling about it. So something else is that kind of almost like a side bonus is that having a micro niche really gives you sustainable and predictable growth. Instead of having some really good months and really bad months, you are consistent because you know your audience and you know their patterns and you get to know them better and better over time as you work with them. Okay, so this is what I call the creative goldmine offer exercise. So if you have time right now, grab a paper and pen and you'll just want to write these quick responses. And again, nothing is set in stone. You can always tweak these later. Just kind of go with your gut and see what ends up on the paper. So the first one is talking about the problem that you're solving. So what problem is your business or offer currently solving for your ideal client? What is that core offer that you are solving? You know it's one of their pain points. It's something that keeps them awake at night. What problem are you solving? And if you're having a little bit of trouble answering that question, that's okay. But that right there is a really good indicator that maybe you don't know your audience as well as you need to. And again, finding your micro niche will help you with that. So once you've kind of written a few notes to yourself about, okay, what are my offers? What are the solutions that I'm offering to my customers' problems? You want to think too about what are their highest value problems? Like what are the really big things that they're dealing with? So an example from my own business and my own clients are clients who are just overwhelmed with all of the things they have to do for their business. They don't have time to finish their social media posts. They're not sure about if what they're posting is what they should be posting. They are wearing all the hats trying to send out, be their marketer. They're trying to also, provide the actual service that they're offering. And that is the problem that I solve for my clients. We go in, we look at their business, they have someone that they can trust and who has the expertise to easily look at their business and say, I can see immediately right here, this is where we can help. We can help you get that clarity to know what the next step is. So that's an example of the problems that we solve, whether it's with branding itself, the actual design and visual identity of a company, or with the internal strategy. So the next thing you're going to want to do is think about your passion versus your talent. So a lot of times creatives especially get drawn into something they absolutely love, but maybe, and that's what they want to offer. They want to offer that as their business. Like, I love doing this. It's so much fun. I want to start a business. Great. It's fantastic to be passionate about what you do. I think one of the things that people overlook a lot is you also want to be really talented in that area. So a really good example of this is I love like little hobbies. I have a lot of little hobbies. And for Christmas, I got an embroidery set and it's really fun and I love it. It's just fantastic as like me time. But it's not something I would ever try to sell or teach because I'm not great at it. While I really like it and maybe I'll be great at it in the future, it's not something I would create a business around, even though I really love doing it because I'm not particularly talented at it at this point. So you do want to use the the passion that you have, but also include or assess at least what are my talents? What am I excellent at? Because when you're selling something, it's much easier to sell yourself when you have that confidence knowing I'm an expert at this. I know what I'm talking about it instead of just being like, oh yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay at it. So think about that when you're writing your answers to this. The next one is evaluating your core offer. And we talked about this a little bit in the problem section. What core problem do you solve better than anyone else? And this will really help you simplify your offerings if you're struggling with that. So one of the things that I'm always telling my clients is that if you are struggling with too many offers, you're trying to offer everything under the sun, this is a great way to simplify. What do you solve better than anyone else? Right then and there, that should help you narrow your offerings down to 1, 2, or 3 offerings at the most. Whatever you're solving that you are an expert in and you solve it, better than any of your competition, that's where your gold mine is. Okay, so this is the 2-minute micro niche quiz. So just save this for later because we're going to send out the links. This is the micro niche quiz. If you're wondering, like, okay, great, I'm into the micro niche thing, I understand it, I want to do it, this sounds fantastic, but you really don't know where to start. You're like, okay, I get it, but I need a little hand holding. So this micro niche quiz will help you in 2 minutes narrow down from your entire audience to a micro niche. So you'll discover your creative gold mine in 2 minutes, which is, again, your creative gold mine is where you will find the stuff you're really, really good at. You have that expertise and that talent, and you are solving a big problem for your audience. You're giving them the best solution. You'll also get immediate insight on the effective strategies you need to use to reach those people. And you'll be able to improve your brand messaging today. Today, you'll be able to improve your brand messaging. It will give you all the information you need to start working that in to your messaging today. If you want to create an Instagram post later, great. You can use that messaging. It will also give you instant access to content ideas. And these are just some examples of the micro niche results. So depending on what your answers are, you will get your quiz results. And a good example is empowered achievers. So I think a lot of my audience, they are empowered women who are high achieving, and you know that you want to do something big. You know you want to do something big. You are motivated, ambitious, capable, creative. All of these things describe you, and it's how you would probably describe yourself. So those words specifically, which each quiz result has their own set of words to describe their audience, you get those instantaneously right there. So you can immediately start speaking to your audience in a way that they describe themselves. Okay, so when your dreams become reality, this is where I get really excited, because this is when you really start to see the impact a micro niche has. So I discovered my micro niche and this happened. So it's how I transformed my first business. Like I said, when I first launched my wedding planning business in New Orleans, I made the classic rookie mistake. I was trying to be everything to everyone, and it really didn't take long for reality to hit. And then came the shift. I defined my micro niche and transformed my business from chaotic, soul draining, and really exhausting into a streamlined, profitable business that aligned with my passions and my skills. So, what happened, instead of serving all of the different bridal clients that I could, I realized that most of my clients were coming from very specific leads in my network. They would get married at usually the same group of venues. And just by understanding that small kind of group of information, I understood, like, okay, this is who I'm serving. And by kind of really digging deep into that, I was able to say, okay, this is my micro niche. This is who I need to serve. I don't need to be the one who is trying to find, the bride who's trying to DIY everything, right? So, because if you need a wedding planner, chances are you aren't trying to DIY everything. Okay, so that is what you want to keep in mind when you are trying to find your micro niche and really digging into that information, that it can have such a huge impact. After I did that with my own business, I was able to book my first six-figure wedding. And these kind of dream clients really do turn into priceless opportunities. So this is a fantastic case study. One of my clients, Looking Glass. We've been working together for about 3.5 years now. And their story really, it's like, I love a good Cinderella story. And I think they're a fantastic example of what can happen when you do have you really have dug into that micro niche and your branding and your brand strategy, and you've defined that messaging and really paid attention to what your customers need. So when Looking Glass approached me, they were a budding personal styling service, and they had a brilliant mission. They wanted to provide instant style, instant personal styling advice virtually. And this genius idea, I think a lot of women out there are like, oh, instant styling. Yes, I could definitely use that. I'm going out on a date, or I'm going out with my girlfriends, or taking my kids somewhere. Having an instant person say, hey, what should I wear? Does this look good on me? I think we've all done that with our best friends, right? We all have that friend who's like the fashion expert. So this was her fantastic idea. And again, the genius was really obvious, but clarity, focus, and a strong message was missing. And it was really keeping them from reaching their dream clients and their business goals. But as soon as we started talking, I knew they were a brilliant brand in the making. So they just needed a little micro niche magic. One of the very first things I did with Looking Glass was to define their micro niche. We really got in and dug deep into that and created their brand avatar as well. And doing just that one simple thing gave us the formula for everything we did afterwards and what we're still doing now. So just that one action in the beginning has given us the roadmap for what we're doing now. And it is still moving forward. It continues to give us that information. So the power of defining their micro niche has made this possible. They have been able to get exclusive brand partnerships and collaborations with companies like J. Crew and elite presenter and speaker opportunities with events like Mom 2.0 and even national press features in Real Simple and Forbes and Bustle and Martha Stewart Living. And they now even have venture capital interests in Silicon Valley. So it is so crucial that when partnerships or collaboration opportunities come along, you are able to clearly define for those people what is your audience? Who are you trying to reach? If they had not done that, they would not have had these opportunities. Because especially for press features, press they want an angle. They want to be able to say like, okay, what's the juicy part of this story? And if you're just like, oh, I don't know, like I serve at my thing, everything I have is for everybody, it dilutes your brand. So when you have these wonderful opportunities that come calling, you want to have these stellar responses and information to give them so that they can see immediately, yes, this is the collaboration for us. This is the partnership for us. The other aspect of working with your dream clients is that it leads to unparalleled opportunities for growth. So it's not just about the numbers, it's not just about finding those dream clients, which is great, but it's also about the priceless opportunities that that alignment creates. So the CEO and founder of Looking Glass and I developed such a strong relationship through our projects together that she invited me to become one of the founding members of her company. And it was just that level of trust and partnership that can only happen when your work connects deeply with the right people, the people that you are trying to serve. And I think this journey illustrates my core belief that dream clients are not just good for business, they are the gateway for life-changing possibilities and profound relationships. And it really does all start with the power of knowing who you are serving. So I do want to talk about a little bit about the magic wand myth. So we're all excited about our micro niche right now. We're like, yes, this is it. I'm going to do this one thing and it's going to lead to my 7-figure business. So if you think that defining your micro niche will suddenly turn your business into a 7-figure empire overnight, I got to stop you right there. So your micro niching is your superpower, but it is not a magic wand. It's what you do with the micro niche information that is that magic. So that's kind of the magic bullet myth. It is not an overnight success. It's a starting point for you to get clarity and direction. And your success comes from leveraging that information with intentional messaging, strategic action, and some savvy business decisions. If you can dream it, have the courage to take action and the tenacity to stay the course, and you will make it. So yes, again, this is a perfect example of mindset. It is all about bringing all of this information together. The mindset, the micro niche strategy, and the perseverance. No one of those things alone is going to lead to success. But when you bring all of the things together, that's what leads you in the right direction. So if you are ready to strike gold, let's build your treasure map. So this is you today. You've gotten clarity and insight and inspiration and probably feel pretty empowered. So one of the things that finding that micro niche can do is jumpstart your next steps. And again, it's not what you do, it's not just the micro niche information, it is what you do after it. So if you feel like, okay, great, I have this micro niche information, I am ready to go, I am ready to hit the ground running and get to the next step, then a VIP day is perfect for you. This is a full day dedicated to creating a plan that unlocks everything your micro niche has to offer. It turns your clarity that you're getting today into actual conversions. You get to build out your brand messaging that speaks directly to your micro niche and craft a strategy that makes your business the obvious choice for your audience. And this is all in one day. It is a 1 day intensive. So if you've been struggling over time, trying to piecemeal things together, this is a day to get clarity and focus and a roadmap on how to get over that challenge, over that hump. And then your tomorrow will start looking like this, from feeling like an imposter to owning your experience, from people pleasing to setting boundaries with total confidence. And I think we've all probably experienced that too. When you're uncertain in what you're doing in your business, it comes across when you're talking to clients or trying to make sales. And then from searching for your dream clients to them seeking you out. So that's what amazing messaging can do. Those clients see that messaging and they're the ones hunting you down instead of making cold calls or feeling like you have to be on social media every single day. It also gives you a feeling of freedom from external chasing to an internal alignment. Again, bringing that mindset back in. If you are not happy in your business, it's really hard to make your clients happy. We can make your brand brilliant. So this is not just another branding session. This is a 1 day high impact strategy to help you position your brand as the obvious choice. So again, we're trying to make your competition irrelevant. Your messaging will be so dialed in that your customer will see your messaging as the choice that is exactly perfect for them. So a lot of businesses spend months or even years struggling with finding their brand positioning. And this is the opportunity to walk away with a roadmap that is designed for rapid business growth and success. I think we all know that our brand and our branding is is that first impression that people get of your business. Well, we also want to turn it into your most valuable business asset. Think of bigger businesses that you've heard of, like Starbucks or Amazon. If someone were to buy Starbucks or Amazon, they wouldn't just be buying the physical locations or the products that they sell or hiring the employees that work there. They are buying something much more valuable than that. They are buying a brand that people already know and love. So you'll know that this is a perfect fit for you. If your luxury clients are expecting a luxury brand, let's build you one that commands their attention. If your competitors already have that luxury branding and that luxury messaging and you don't, they have a head up. So let's give you that advantage. If you've outgrown like your DIY branding, maybe you started working on that when you very first launched your business, it's really time for an expert strategy and a design that reflects your expertise and where your brand is now. If your business has grown and your brand really hasn't caught up to that, now is the time to fix it. So you can book your Brand Brilliance VIP day. And that is, again, a full day to dive in to your brand strategy, fully dedicated to you. And you will get brand positioning and strategy, your micro niche clarity and brand avatar development, your brand messaging development. We'll look at your website copy, your social media strategy, and you'll get a clear brand strategy roadmap that you can use for years to come. That is a living entity and document that you can build on as the years go by. So I want to go ahead and start the Q&A portion and touch on a few of the questions that you have and that we get asked the most. So, okay, so what is a brand avatar? So it's a really good question. Um, one of the things that I like to describe it as is if you think of it as a persona for your entire audience. So you discover that micro niche and now you kind of boil it down into a single person. So, and you get to know that person and they embody all of the pain points and um, needs and problems that your customer has, and even information like their demographics and where do they live. And the way that you figure that out is by all of the market research that goes into developing that avatar. So not only the micro niche aspect of it, but figuring out where does my ideal audience live? What are the brands they love the most? Where do they shop? Um, what is their schedule like? Are they married? Do they have children? This is all information that goes into building that brand avatar. And what that does is it creates this one persona that you can look to when you're creating anything for your business, whether it's new products or you are creating your content strategy. You'll know exactly who you're talking to. And that is priceless. Okay, so one of the other questions that we have is what would you recommend for someone just getting started? Brand new, fresh slate, no website, um, no social media. Where's the place to start? So I would say definitely start with that core problem. What core problem are you solving? And who are you solving it for? And is it a high value problem? Starting there can really help you gauge whether your service or product is going to be viable in the long term. And one of the things that you can really help you is starting with something called ICA calls. So these are your ideal customer avatar calls. And you can find within your current network, so friends, family, colleagues, acquaintances, try to think through your network and say, okay, who do I know that would potentially be a great fit for what I'm offering? Get them on the phone, ask them a favor. You could even, offer to take them to get coffee, um, to chat about, hey, could you just do me a favor and let me know if what I'm offering sounds like a good fit for you? And this list of questions is fantastic because it really lets you dig into what are their pain points? What do they care about most? What do they need help with most? What are their shopping habits? Where do they hang out online? What TV shows do they watch? This helps you determine like, oh, okay, it's like either really validating and like, yes, I see that this person is lining up completely with the services I'm offering or products I'm offering, versus you'll kind of start to know if they were giving you answers and you're like, oh, yeah, those pain points, I don't solve any of those pain points. Then you'll get okay, this person's either not a good fit, or if you start to get the same answers that don't line up, you'll know that okay, maybe I need to take a look at what I'm offering and refine it a bit. So those are probably the biggest questions. And I think we're out of time. So thank you all so much for joining us. And I am looking forward to hearing more feedback about your questions. And really thank you again to She Space for hosting this amazing event with us. Thank you.
And thank you so much, Tina, for being here. We loved hearing all about our micro niche and everything you have to offer and all of your amazing advice. We appreciate you and we'll have you back soon.
Thank you so much, Kay.